Let's get started with those sand ripples. Today I will be working in my sketchbook and I'll be starting out with some watercolor crayons. These are the watercolor crayons that I typically use. They're kind of middle of the road in terms of quality, but they serve me well. And I will be using a ochre and a black to start out with, and I'll bring in some dark brown later. But first I'm going to go ahead and just make some black lines with that crayon. They don't have to be super uniform. Every little speck of sand is going to float wherever it wants, so it's not all going to be uniform. Nature's just not that way. And that enables us to just have a little bit more fun and not worry about being what we call perfect. I call what Mother Nature creates as perfect. But you know what I mean. So I'm giving a little bit of extra black here so that I'm going to show those minerals that kind of show up in the sand waves. That's what the black is going to do. And then just bringing in a little bit of the ochre here for that yellow sand, just filling in the color. I'm not giving a whole lot of worry to which direction my sand is going or how I'm coloring it in. Again, because it's going to be somewhat ununiform when we're finished. And I'm going to go ahead and bring in some water here in just a second to blend all of these colors. I'm using my refillable paintbrush here. It has that well of water in the back, and I filled that bottle or that well for this brush with lake water. The same water that these ripples were inspired by. Since we're working with watercolor here, I could have wet that canvas first. I could have sprayed water down or just brushed a bunch of water down on the canvas first and then put my crayon on top of the water. I definitely could have done that, but I chose to do dry on dry, the dry crayon on the dry paper. And then now I'm bringing in that water to kind of melt that crayon, melt all those pigments together. And it's just a very satisfying practice. Even if this doesn't turn out looking like something that I'd want to ever look at again, it really doesn't matter because the process of this blending and merging, the flow and the up and down of the ripples, it's very, very satisfying, and it takes you away to another place. So I've added a little bit of darker brown in here for a little bit more tone, just dragging that through here and there, and then bringing in more water and smoothing that out. So it's just a matter of blending, and then when this dries, I'll probably blend a little bit more and add a little bit more color. So guess what? I've been painting during a power outage, and I've been painting by lantern light this whole time. And it looks a little bit dull, but just know that in real life, it's a little bit brighter than how it looks on this paper. And voila, the power's back on. Now you can see the brightness a little bit with the convenience of electricity. So again, I'm just adding water and then adding more pigment, blending it together. Because if you think about the sandy bottom of a lake, it's not just one layer of sand and stones and minerals. It's several layers, layers upon layers upon layers. And now to add a little bit of extra detail and interest, finer lines, I'm going to draw on here with a watercolor pencil, and I'm using a light brown and a darker brown. One is called bark, the darker one is bark, and the other is light ochre. So this is just again going to help with that depth, but it's also helping with our brain, using another tool and just dragging it in, kind of following the line next to it, but not worrying too much. And here at the end, I have decided to dip the end of the pencil in water and then drag that wet watercolor pencil across the canvas, just for some additional texture. And sand is speckly, so we want to finish this off with some black and white specks. So all we have to do here is dot, 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 dot. You could pattern your dots. You could just scatter them however you feel fit. Let the dots flow. Don't worry about them and enjoy the process. And that's all there is to it. Enjoy. Would you look at that? You can actually see those waves moving. Kidding. Wasn't that lovely though? You can do that anytime you wish. Namaste.